Relevant Recruiter Group, what is going on? This is Donnie Gupton, and just a reminder, we're doing these shows every single Wednesday at 12 o'clock Pacific today. I'm really fired up because I get to interview one of my friends, one of my students, my friend Thea Raskin. She is from Southern California. She is a recruiter that recruits for creatives. Thea, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So I just introduced you, told you that everyone that you are in SoCal, but give us a little bit of a background, Thea. Where you from? Where you been?
Yeah, for sure. I'm based in LA right now. My New York accent would indicate that I'm from New York. So born and raised there. Have lived, in other places, but have my professional career has mostly been in New York and LA.
Awesome. Awesome. For those of you that are listening live, if you can just give us a hi, a thumbs up, let us know that you can hear us and that you're here with us live. We would appreciate that. So from New York to LA, did you start your recruiting business in New York, or did you start your recruiting career in New York? How did that all work out?
Yeah, so I started my advertising career in New York, and then moved to LA in, I guess, like 2008, 2009. At the time, advertising in LA was non-existent, which is so bizarre because it's a desirable place to live. It's, I don't know why it took a while to kick off. So I got into recruitment. I got into staffing, so more agency staffing work.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of did new business for them for a while, actually. So I kind of learned the recruiting game under just knowing advertising and knowing that industry so intimately. So it was specifically for creative, but it was a lot of freelance and staffing and kind of that like market driven, fast turnaround. And then moved back to New York, headed up an executive search firm there and built their creative department wing of that. So doing a little higher level, got a little more niched into fashion there, kind of oversaw the country for that. And then I started my business when I moved back to LA, and then overseeing both markets and then some other ones as well, but kind of in this like niche of luxury, everything that I've done over the years, luxury, lifestyle, culture, brand, design, kind of merged together to create a specialty a bit more.
Awesome. How long ago did you start your own business?
So the inventory, it's going on 4 years, 4.5. Yeah, we're 4.5 now.
Excellent. What are some of the challenges that you found, like when you went from, working, for somebody to working for yourself?
Oh gosh. Less drama when you work for yourself, unless you're the one creating it. I think that things start from the top,
Mm-hmm.
and they trickle down. You set the culture. So, obviously you're your own boss. You don't have somebody over your head. Now that's good for some people and it's not good for some people. For me, it's great. I mean, ultimately when you're a recruiter, I think, or if you've been a commission-based person in any job for any amount of time, you have to be self-disciplined because you can't, there's no guaranteed income. So you have no guaranteed income, you're essentially an entrepreneur as well. But you take it to another level when you're responsible for all the things as part of a business. So
Yep.
I'd say it's just that extra level of
Right.
responsibility.
So
So
coming in, you mentioned that you actually, when you first got started, you're actually on the BD side. When you started yourself, did you find that you had a good balance? Was there like, hey, I'm really strong with recruiting, you're really strong with the business development as you kind of started this whole thing out? Like, what was your biggest challenge with that?
Oh, yeah. So I did BD when I started that executive search. I hadn't recruited. I got it. I knew it, but it's a little bit tomato. Like it's a little bit like it's similar because you're doing outreach. It's about matchmaking, but it's a little bit of a different beast because um, there's a lot of similarities and differences basically. But so I did have to learn it. I mean, I had to learn. I mean, I'm recruiting. I'm asking different questions. It's
Mm-hmm.
interview style. It's a different kind of relationship that you're building. So yeah, I mean, there's a learning curve there for sure. I think once you start doing, I think probably in a lot of businesses, there's bringing in the business, which is its own function, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
the actual business. So
Right.
learning that piece of it was, and how to juggle that, I think it's just a never ending refinement, especially if you have your own business, you don't have all these different departments that are specialized in it. So it's just an ongoing learning kind of course.
Right. Now, prior to our work together, I mean, what were you doing mainly for business development?
Oh gosh, organic. So organic and reach outs, right? So like, I think it depends on the size of your business. So my business starting out, it's small. I don't have so much overhead. I don't have to worry about certain things. So I actually don't need as many clients. When I was doing BD for an agency, well, there's a lot more mouths to feed. So you're constantly, your numbers, the expectations a little different. So I would say actually when I had my business, now that to answer your earlier question, I didn't have to do as much BD. You have to do more recruitment because I don't need as much business to fill and as many clients. As I've grown and want to grow, well, that has to change. As you bring on more people onto your business, you have to pay them. So you need to figure all that out. So before, to answer your question, it was more organic growth. Oh, and it would be another client and somehow, or maybe you shoot out a few emails here and there and reconnect. So that's what I was doing before working with you.
Got it. Got it. And what about on the recruiting side? Is everything just kind of using traditional headhunting type, tactics and just going and finding, scouring the market and finding the ideal fit for your clients?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Word of mouth, this, that, using all the databases and all the tools. Yeah, I'd say so.
So one of the things, we started working together kind of as COVID was kicking off. I mean, what was your main motivation? What were you looking for when you came in and joined the Relevant Recruiter program?
Up leveling, I'd say. I think, one of the things when everything hit, and I knew this for a while because I've been figuring out different ways to grow, but I think there's a lot of fear there. And putting yourself out, you kind of know. I mean, you know what the market's doing, that things are digital, that you have to put your content out. So a few years before I had done my social media strategy, but I was never comfortable putting my face out there. And I knew I had to. It's like everybody and their brother was like, you need to be doing this. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to be. I'm the person behind the camera, blah, blah, blah. And I am, but at the same time, that's also what sustains, it's a relationship business. That literally is what sustains my business, is if people like to work with me or not.
Right.
So I came to you because I knew that I needed somebody to show me, guide me, and handhold me and coach me through putting my content out there and getting it up there. And then just all those fears and those nuances. And I didn't know all the things. So.
Right. Awesome. So one of the things that we work on in the program is our ability to stand out and separate you from the next recruiter. I mean, tell us about where you kind of felt like you were at before, entering the program, and where you are now in terms of differentiating and standing out.
Before, I had no visibility, me, literally. So yeah, I mean, I work in creative. It's a great brand. It looks great, but people connect to emotion. And I know that working in advertising. So they get that. And the things that make, like I said, make people like me is literally when I'm on the phone and stuff. So if I can show my personality and just give some tips and tools that they like when I'm on the phone, or they like when we're meeting for a coffee or something like that, well, then they're going to like it on the video. So I guess, I think visibility is really the biggest thing, and visibility is everything.
Right. And before, you were kind of just doing everything kind of one-to-one, all your interactions. One of the things that we work on is automation, and we, work a lot on, leveraging LinkedIn, but we do it in a way that kind of creates more conversational style, right? Not so sales pitch, because I know that's what everybody's worried about. Speak to your experience doing automation, kind of how you felt when you first started to do it and what you've seen since you've done it.
Yeah. And it can be daunting, right? Technology, it can be your friend or it can be your foe. I think it's about doing it tastefully. And you can refine that to what your comfort is. I'm sure there's some people that are even more aggressive with the automation type stuff that I am, because I'm so niche. So there's been a way that I've even had to make it my own. So it's been really helpful because it's lovely to have that one-on-one experience, but to scale anything, something needs to go. And with that is your time, with that is your attention, with that is that level of investment. I mean, that's literally any business. So you have to just prioritize where you put your time and your effort and what you're willing to let go. So there's needs and there's wants. And I'd say that I want to talk to everybody directly and have an
Right.
hour conversation with everybody. But I need to only do that at the right time when it makes the, sense. So I think it's using the automation in the right time and place and being
Right.
smart about it.
Right. Well, one of the things that, the whole goal with automation is obviously for us to, make it easier for us to have those one-to-one interactions. And I think that's where a lot of people misunderstand it, is they just think it's a, house span and how much going to go out there and try to transact business. But when you're doing it right, it's really designed to build relationships that you can eventually turn into that one-on-one conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I even had somebody reach out, they got back to me about an email and they said something about spam. And I was like, no, like, make no mistake, this is not spam. You were handpicked in a way. A little bit of a refinement of it. It might look like it to the outside world, but no, you're the right person and we are
Right.
the right fit. If it's not right, that's fine. But I think that, to your point, I think there's a misnomer that it's just
Mm-hmm.
blanketed, and no, there's definitely strategy in it. You were wanted.
Right. One of the things you've mentioned is like that you kind of were, behind the scenes, a little bit unknown. How do you feel like our efforts on LinkedIn has kind of expanded your brand so far?
Oh my God, it's been great. I mean, I think, you know, we don't give enough credence to this, but the truth is like a lot of it is fear. A lot of it is, fear of rejection, fear of that's at the bottom of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
How you're going to be received and all those things. And as you take baby steps in that, you see that, and you've said this before actually, which is really smart. Your community has been wanting you to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody here has heard that or anything, but like you definitely say that within the program a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
it's true. And I think that that's been something that's been really kind of awesome, is to see that support. And so just seeing my face on LinkedIn and just seeing that receptivity has
Mm-hmm.
given me then even more confidence,
Right.
again, combating the fear to go and do that on other things. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you look back, and now I can look back COVID, beginning COVID, and I'm like, whoa, this is like on fire now. Like it's, we're firing in all cylinders.
Right.
I had a peer, like a recruiter peer who I love, and she just wrote me yesterday and she was like, you've created a great brand. And she means that from start to finish. She means that before we started working together, but really what she's saying is, whoa, look at what you've done from logo to now I'm seeing you on all this stuff. Like
Right.
amazing. And the fact that people are seeing that and I'm getting positive feedback has been really cool.
Yep. Yeah. So for those of you that are watching or listening, to this right now, keep that in mind. If you have a little bit of that fear of putting yourself out there, that, like Thea was saying, is this really comes into the baby steps. And that if you have fear, welcome, you're normal. I
Yeah.
think we've all been there and go through different stages of that, when it comes to creating content, putting ourselves out there and things like that. There is a level of fear, but, just like Thea is saying, is like with the right action and the right support in the right direction, you can go from where Thea was, which is like nervous about putting yourself out there, to being completely comfortable and now putting yourself out across multiple platforms. So I really applaud you, Thea, on how much you've shown up and busted through those barriers, because I know I've worked with you hands-on to help you overcome all that. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you helping me through it, because that's the thing. It's like, just like somebody being like, no, that's okay. And you're like, oh, really? Oh, okay, I got this. All right. And then it's like, okay, no, another. Oh, I mean, that's how you grow.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So I would encourage anybody that's listening to, you know, if that's something, just like, you don't do it all. It's overwhelming. Like, don't look at
Right.
the end goal. Just like, bing, little steps.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, just kind of share, like, has there been an interaction, when you put a piece of content out there that somebody's like, that's making you go, oh man, I shouldn't do this anymore? Or has it all been pretty much positive?
No, it's all been like a few people are,
Yeah.
not nice, I'll say. I don't know if we can get it. But not really. I mean, people are going to say what but like, it's interesting. And maybe you've said this, but recently I've had a few more people, or I'm asking for people's opinions too. I want to create a dialogue. I legitimately want to. And people are going to have different opinions. I might put an opinion out and then they might say something different. So it's not necessarily nasty.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more a difference of opinion. But when I have had a few people that maybe, tone is so hard to tell on social media. But when I have, I'm like, yes. Like, it's almost like, to me, a weird sign that you're creating enough conversation and
Right.
there's enough importance. Like if you're not getting there, now I'm almost like, am I doing enough? Like if
Right.
I'm not creating a little bit, I'm not looking to like provoke everybody, but like a little bit of something,
Mm-hmm. So now that you've been creating constant content consistently for what, probably 3 months now, 4 months maybe?
Oh my God. Wait, what is it? March? I don't even know. This is like one big weird
Yeah. So we'll
dream.
just say 3 months. We'll say
Okay.
4 months,
I
get
think it's a
somewhere in
little
there.
more, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How do you feel like that's impacting your business right now?
Oh, it's hugely impacting it. I mean, you know, I don't really have like, people want to know, especially business people, and I get that, oh, well, many dollars and what does that mean? I don't have ROI like that. I don't have, well, this many job orders, yada, yada. It's also such a different time. I can't compare this to like the best economy that we had last
Right.
year. Like that's not going to happen. But what it has done is the visibility, which is huge. It's, I think, I'd mentioned this before, like I did BD for so long that I know what it takes from a business development and a sales perspective. Like it's all about planting seeds,
Right.
and it's not just a numbers game. It's also it's quality and it's qual and quant, but you
Mm-hmm.
have to first plant that seed, and you have to plant seeds in so many different areas, and you have to nurture that seed.
Right.
There's so many things that come along with that, and the more tools that you have at your disposal to do that, I don't know where it's going to come from. I mean, this is like advertising 101 too. This is what brands always ask. Well, how do we know that our TV spot's going to, well, I mean, now we have a lot of metrics, but the truth is you don't know why you bought Pepsi over Coke, but something happened to make you
Right.
buy it. And it may have just been because there's a lot of subconscious things that go on. So it's no different with a recruitment brand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten me conversation. It's gotten people reaching out on other fronts. It's gotten me seen in terms of being more of an authority, I think, in the space,
Right.
and somebody that has a voice. And with that, things are going on, like it's energy. And when energy happens, stuff happens in the
Right.
universe.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I've
yeah,
been seeing you build a lot of momentum, and like you're saying, it's like the placement that goes with it hasn't come yet, but the conversations are continually picking up. The brand awareness is continually picking up, and like you said, I mean, the timing is interesting right now.
right.
With who's hiring, who's not hiring, and obviously there are people out there. I know you're working on stuff, but the abundance of jobs that there was, back in January is just not the same right now. But
Right.
that's great that you're planting the seeds and you're staying active. I mean, was there ever a time, because I know there's a lot of people that really kind of pulled off the gas or pulled off the throttle, and a fear of maybe rubbing people wrong, but I know you've kind of kept your foot on the gas over the last couple months to stay active and create. And you're really, it sounds like you really feel like that benefit's going to start popping here pretty soon.
Yeah. So yeah, like definitely I'm not into a foot off the gas person. I don't get that. I thought, I get changing the tempo a little. I don't know, maybe we're doing different things, but yeah, I think it was a missed opportunity if you did that, because what I'm hearing now also is, wow, I've really appreciated your insight over this time.
Right.
I've really appreciated you jumping in for, when people need it most, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that you build relationships all the time. Like it doesn't matter
Right.
what's going on out there. It's just a matter of it just gets framed in a different way.
Right.
I don't, yeah, I mean, sometimes there's immediate needs, sometimes there aren't. I have clients that I worked with 3 years ago that now I'm working with again because that's a relationship. I have right. I think we all have friends that sometimes you rekindle relationships. Just depends on what it is. So
Right.
I think and that comes with the nurturing. So yeah, no. To answer your question, I guess around what did you say about the
Just
people
staying full
that.
throttle, and that you've kind of kept your foot on the gas, and now you're kind of primed to see the result of that.
Yeah, I think for sure. And taking that time, right? If
Yep.
you can't, if you can't work, if you can, and if anybody's out there doing that, like they're not finding like there's business out there for their market, like what I did is if I can't work in my business, I'm going to work on my business. And that's what
Right.
I did. I worked on the business. And because of that, I was able to do things that probably would have taken me a year and a half to do them in 4 or 5 months because I didn't have as much business. But
Right.
now the business is coming back. And because I did that, it's like, it's everything that I wanted to do full steam ahead.
Right. Now, I know you work in a unique market where, it's probably one of the only markets that as a recruiter, your brand is really, your brand is always important to a recruiter. And I know that's more of a new concept because, everything's been so transactional traditionally and done over the phone and through relationships. But now with digital marketing, we have more of a chance to do and build, an online brand. But you work with creatives,
Yeah.
you work in an industry that people, this is what they pay attention to. How do you
Mhm.
feel now, like having a brand that kind of really represents, how you show up as a recruiter too, that kind of aligns with that and aligns with your market? You kind of built this brand obviously for your ideal target market.
So how do I feel about,
Yeah. How do you feel like that's like, have you noticed from your audience, from your market, what kind of feedback have you gotten about, the brand that you've put together now over the last couple of months?
oh, it's been great. Yeah. People love it. I think, yeah, it's all been really, just really receptive. I think when you hone in on, and that's one of the things that we do in the program too, right? You're
Mhm.
honing in on your market, and you know what you, and if you've done your marketing due diligence, well, then this is an opportunity to see, is it right to check the temperature on that and be
Mhm.
like, I don't know, is there something you could be dialing in more on? So I think that's, I think that was helpful
Mhm.
and in what I've done. And so I was able to kind of get a little more pointed in it and a little, in my messaging too. So I
Right.
think it's been really receptive. And then of course, yeah, to your point, like my market cares about aesthetics and all of those things are important. So even
Right.
if my message is on point, but like it looks like crap, like no, it's not happening.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You got a little bit more pressure on there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Than
exactly.
your average. That's no doubt about that. What has been some of the feedback you've gotten from, your content efforts when you've gotten on the phone with, either, previous clients or when you've gotten on the phone with like other prospects? Have they mentioned your content and what you've been putting out in the marketplace when you get on the phone with them?
Always. That's what I think I've noticed the most, which is cool. And you're like, at first you're like, cool. And then you're like, oh, creepy. It's like, oh, it's like stalkerish a little, but even though you're the one doing it, but you're like, it's really cool. I have people reaching out to me that I haven't heard in a while, like people, I connected to, I don't know, another lifetime ago in a way, like, hey, I
Right.
haven't seen your videos. And you're like, weird. Okay, cool. So it's just cool from that perspective. You wind up getting uh, outreach from people that new and old, but that you don't even know what's going on behind the scenes. That's I guess what I mean by the ROI.
Yeah.
You just don't
Right.
know. And I didn't know that, Bobby, whatever, I met him at so and so and what he's up to. I didn't know that. Oh, cool. Now you're in my realm. Oh, sweet. Let's work together. That's cool. Because you
Right.
saw my videos and you think I know what I'm talking about. All right, great.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And I think you brought up a great point there because so many people, online marketing and the process to success is a different one than say like traditional where we're doing outbound calls and things like that. Because when we're doing outbound calls, there's this perception of, productivity or, thinking I'm closer to it because I'm staying productive, right? I'm picking up the phone and I'm getting feedback too right away. Where with online marketing, it's almost like a silent thing that's happening where, you may be putting content out. And we talk about this all the time. It's like, don't worry about likes, don't worry about comments, don't worry about this, because we're dealing with such sophisticated markets, who's really liking and commenting when they're running a business in a lot of cases, right? But then you see how with all of this going on and somebody hasn't maybe even liked your content, but yet they bring it up on a call. It's pretty amazing like how the content works behind the scenes. You don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. So one of the things, right, because you'll see on there, you'll be like sometimes I had like so many views on something. It was, or maybe it was, I don't know, it was like, for me, it was like 5,000 views. And I have like my niches, I don't know, but I was surprised. And I was like, who
Mm-hmm.
are these 5,000 people? I don't know who they, or maybe I had 10,000 on one. I'm like, I don't even, like, who are they? And you just
Right.
don't know who they are. So one of the things I was going to say is I just looked at my, one of the, for my email campaign list. And that's kind of a cool thing because you're like, who is looking at my emails? And it's
Mm-hmm.
really cool to see because that's kind of an indication too. Like, oh, wow, they're, then you
Yeah.
start to see, no, people are, and you don't know what it's doing. You don't know if they're, and sometimes you do see it. Sometimes like, oh, so-and-so referred me. Oh, I thought of you for this. It's all those little things. Like, I think when people look for the big prize, like that's not the way to think about life, to be honest. Like it's all those little things that get you there, and each one is a win along the way.
Yep. No, I love it. Now, one of the things that we work on the program is like the multi-channel approach, right? Where we've talked a lot here on LinkedIn, but share with us like how you've taken your content, and we started kind of baby steps on LinkedIn, getting you comfortable, but now you're out there, your LinkedIn, your YouTube, your Instagram. I mean, speak a little bit on that.
Yeah, I mean, I had Instagram, but wasn't doing it just wasn't as because I wasn't as comfortable. So I think that's a lot of it. So I started LinkedIn, and then now I do. I mean, now I'm even building a YouTube channel. Like that would not have happened. So that's crazy to me, actually, now that I'm saying that. So yeah, so it's just getting comfortable with all of the platforms and all the things that you do in digital marketing. I think that's what's cool about the program also that you offer, is really learning all that's out there. I mean, there's so many different tools to help you, not necessarily, I mean, if it's cumbersome, you don't use it at the end of the day, but if it helps you, then it helps you. So just learning all of those, obviously you've tested a lot of them, so which is like half the challenge, right? Time is money, and you're an expert in that. So just being able to use, I guess, all the social media tools really, but then all the things that we don't even know that exist to help the social media tools to be better.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, there's so much out there, and finding a way to do it efficiently that's not cumbersome, that you can kind of really create a systematic process to where, hey, I got this piece of content, it goes here, 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 and here. And you mentioned something earlier before the show where you were talking about, kind of this fear of like, well, I don't want to show up too much almost. I hope they don't see this post on here and this post on here. Where are you at with that now?
Yeah, so that's changed. Yeah, and you had said that to me. It's interesting where you're like, I mean, I take it in obviously, but then when it hits you, you're like, oh yeah, okay, now I've hit that moment that he was talking about. I used to think, like, you said something smart about it too, like, like you see the Apple ad so many times, like you don't just see it once, and that resonated with me. So now I love it, and it's 360. You're creating an echo chamber for people in a way, and that's really what I want. So now when I just posted finally to my Instagram some of the videos that I was doing on LinkedIn, and they already go to my email, and they go, all the places. And that's actually probably when I got the comment about, you've created a great brand, because I got people saying, whoa, I now see the next iteration, or they'll say you've evolved or you've pivoted or whatever it is, whatever word they're going to use to them. And I'm like, and it's because some of them are seeing me and I'm making more noise.
Right.
And when you make more noise, you get noticed.
Right. That's awesome. Huge. I mean, you've implemented at such a high level in such a short amount of time. I mean, you've created content, we've written a guide, you've got landing pages that you've built. What was kind of the biggest challenge you feel like you've overcome going through all of this?
What is the biggest challenge? I guess I want to say the time to do it when I've been busy on jobs. That's tough. Like I said, I think the challenge of having your working in your business and on it are two different things. So I took that. So now as I've gotten busier, I'm like, oh my gosh. So that was a challenge. The technology goes, there's mishaps, and I personally am not like, I don't love troubleshooting a tech problem. It doesn't get me excited at all.
Right.
But then you learn it, and then and then it teaches you other things. So probably those two things. And then of course, like I said, just overcoming those fears that we all have about, like, and not overthinking it, and realizing that this isn't the last piece of content, just like it wasn't your last meal. Like, this is not it. So stop putting all of your pinning so much worth on it.
Got it. Love it. What do you feel like if somebody was considering the program, what advice would you give to them?
Do it. I mean, you don't know if you don't try. I follow this psychologist who God, what is his quote? I mean, he says, it's one thing, I don't know. I'm not even going to do due diligence because I don't have it in front of me, but essentially you just move forward, do it, because at least then you'll know you've tried it. And there's nothing worse than staying in a situation where you should be doing it, but like at the end of the day, that really the thing that's holding you back is fear. You might categorize it as something else. You might give so many different excuses, but usually I think through all the coaching work I've done and stuff, usually there's fear behind most things.
Yep. There's a cost to not take action.
Yeah, there is. And that's the thing. Staying in the status quo is just not an option if you want to grow. What doesn't grow dies. So if you got to constantly move with things and what that looks like.
So we've talked a lot about the program, and what the program does, but just curious, specifically when it comes to working, with me, what was the biggest surprise, in working with me and the support I provide?
The biggest surprise, I don't know if it's a surprise as much as like, oh, thank God he's like that. I find you're very accessible. I think one of the things that I was worried about initially, and this could be something, is if I needed more one-on-one, because it's a program. And I think that's the surprise, by the way, these are all happy surprises.
Oh, good.
Yeah, these aren't like, surprise, I'm not excited about this, let me say it on Facebook. No, this is like, I was like, oh, well, I need, a little more one-to-one. You're accessible, you're available whenever I need you. You give all the one-to-one, but within a community. And now I have peers too, which is really cool throughout the country, in recruiters, and masterminds of any kind are like so valuable because you bounce off, I don't know, I just can't even stress it. Whatever it is that you're trying to improve upon, find a mastermind in that area. So I think it's valuable. So that's a big surprise, is that I don't think I needed like a marketing agency to do this, or, so there's a lot more value I get from it.
Yeah. And that's awesome, bringing up the group, because that's one thing I don't talk about enough, is just that, because of the way the program's structured, and then the mastermind support group. And we've got, I've got great people in both my initial program and my mastermind right now. And I think that's because the marketing attracts my ideal audience. So I got some great customers, but yeah, we've got a really good group in the mastermind right now. And it's awesome to see how everybody kind of pulls everybody forward, one person gets this idea, shares it. Hey, here's what's worked with me. Here's what's worked with me. And it's so fun to see everyone share and have that dialogue. And then boom, everybody starts to catapult, that much faster, because we're all sharing the wins and sharing the success.
Yeah. You don't even realize it. And you don't even realize what you're missing by not having that, because let's face it, a lot of times it might be considered a competitor, maybe, if they're in your market, but they're not. And also seeing people, how they do it, there's just so much learning. I don't even know how to to break it down, but there's huge value in that.
Well, and it's one of those, what's that old saying? Like you're only as successful as the, 3 people you spend the most time with, and being able to spend time with, in your case, with recruiters that are a little bit further than you, and you're a little bit further than other recruiters, and everybody has their own strengths. And, it's great to have those dialogues and have those as resources too.
Oh yeah. I've learned so much from other people, and I've been inspired by what they've done, or, and then you can help them. And sometimes we've talked about partnering together and built business relationships, and also referring people business. Like sometimes I get candidates and I'm like, I don't know accounting, like blah, blah, but now I do, so that's really cool too. Yeah, it's been really awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything today, Thea. It's been awesome chatting with you. What would you say, like, what's your biggest piece of advice you'd give somebody in recruiting right now? Anything?
My biggest piece of advice in recruiting, if you're stick with it. I mean, it's coming back, never something. I love it. Love it. I mean that loosely. When people say, oh, it's dead, this is dead, technology no, it is a relationship, business. Pivot, do what you need to do. If you're looking to up level, I would totally talk to you about the program, because you will, in whatever way that means for you. And I think you just need persistence and consistency in recruitment.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you, Thea. Thank you for showing up the way you do every single day in the program. You're an absolute rock star. You're killing it. I love working with you. And thank you for spending, 35 minutes of your time with us today and sharing your journey. For the rest of you, we will be back here next Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Feel free to reach out to Thea on LinkedIn or find her on Instagram and learn more about her inventory method that she has created. And she's an awesome creator. Again, thank you, Thea. For the rest of you, we will see you next week. We'll talk to you soon.